The village of Eldoria. Nestled between emerald hills, it slumbered unaware. The night was still, peaceful. Stars twinkled above, casting a silvery glow. A gentle breeze rustled through the trees, whispering secrets. But this night held something different. A tremor ran through the air, unseen, unheard. Then the sky erupted. Streaks of colour, vibrant and alive, danced across the canvas of night. Whispers arose from the villagers, fear mixing with awe. The colours rippled, pulsed, then faded. Silence fell, heavy and absolute. Eldoria held its breath. The spectacle seared onto their minds. What was this magic? What did it mean? Questions hung in the air, unanswered, echoing the mystery of the whispering stars. The villagers, huddled in their homes, exchanged worried glances. The elders, their faces etched with concern, spoke in hushed tones. Never before had Eldoria seen such a sight. A young girl, Ilara, stood by her window, captivated. Her eyes, wide with wonder, followed the last traces of the celestial display. Unlike the others, fear found no purchase in her heart. Only a burning curiosity, a thirst for the unknown. She knew, with a certainty that defied explanation, that this night was different. This night was a beginning. The air crackled with unseen energy, a silent promise hanging in the balance. Ilara, her heart pounding with anticipation, took a deep breath. The night whispered her name, beckoning her towards the unknown. And Ilara, never one to shy away from adventure, was ready to answer its call. The whispering stars had a story to tell, and Ilara was determined to hear it. Ilara, unlike others, wasn't afraid. The strange light sparked her curiosity, not fear. She felt a pull, an urge to unravel the mystery. The night whispered of adventure, and her heart echoed the call. She knew deep down that this was no ordinary night. This was a night for discovery. With a determined glint in her eyes, Ilara made her way to her grandmother's cottage. The scent of lavender and old books welcomed her as she stepped inside. Her grandmother, her silver hair braided with beads, looked up from her weaving, a knowing smile gracing her lips. "The stars whispered, didn't they?" she said, her voice a low thrum. Ilara nodded, her heart pounding with anticipation. Her grandmother, with a twinkle in her eye, gestured toward the attic. The attic, a treasure trove of forgotten memories, beckoned Ilara. Ilara, her heart pounding with excitement, began her search. And then, tucked away in a corner, beneath a pile of faded tapestries, she found it. A small wooden chest, its surface etched with strange symbols. The chest felt warm beneath her touch, humming with a faint, unseen energy. With bated breath, Ilara lifted the lid. Inside lay a roll of parchment. It was a map, unlike any she had ever seen. Swirling patterns, stars and symbols she couldn't decipher. She felt an inexplicable connection to it. As her fingers brushed the parchment, a jolt of energy surged through her. The symbols glowed with an ethereal light. The air crackled with energy. Ilara's breath caught in her throat. This was no ordinary map. This was a map of magic, of secrets long forgotten. It promised adventure, danger, and a destiny waiting to be unraveled. Clutching the map tightly, Ilara raced back to her grandmother. The old woman examined the map, her eyes widening with each passing moment. "This," she breathed, her voice trembling with awe, "is a map to a world beyond our own, a world of magic, of wonder, and of ancient powers." Ilara's heart skipped a beat. Her grandmother's words confirmed her suspicions. The strange lights, the whispers in the night, the map. It was all connected to this hidden world, a world she was now destined to find. Her grandmother, her eyes filled with a mixture of pride and concern, placed a hand on Ilara's shoulder. "This is a perilous journey you embark on, child," she warned, her voice grave. "But I believe you are meant for great things. The map has chosen you." Ilara, clutching the map to her chest, nodded, her heart brimming with determination. She didn't know what awaited her in this mysterious world, but she was ready to face it. The whispers of the stars had led her here, and she would follow their call, no matter where it took her. Ilara clutched the map. Her heart pounded like a drum in her chest. The attic, usually a place of dust and forgotten things, hummed with anticipation. This wasn't just an adventure. It was a calling. She traced the lines of the map, her fingers tingling with energy. The symbols, indecipherable moments ago, whispered to her now. Each swirl, each star spoke of a world brimming with magic. She knew she couldn't stay in Eldoria. This map, this destiny, pulled at her very being. The villagers wouldn't understand. They saw only the familiar, the safe. But Ilara, she longed for the unknown, for the secrets hidden beyond the veil of the ordinary. The attic, with its musty scent and forgotten treasures, felt too small for her dreams. She had to leave. She had to find this magical world. Packing was easy. A knapsack, sturdy and worn, lay forgotten beneath her bed. Inside, she tucked the map, its parchment warm against her fingers. A few provisions, bread, cheese, dried fruit. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. Be brave, Ilara. Trust your instincts. Taking a deep breath, she slung the knapsack over her shoulder. The weight felt familiar, comforting. It was the weight of adventure, of freedom. As the first rays of dawn kissed the hills, Ilara slipped out of her window. The village slept, oblivious to her departure. She didn't look back. Her feet, guided by an unseen force, led her towards the edge of the forest. The trees, shrouded in mist, seemed to beckon her forward. The whispers of the attic had led her here. Now, the whispers of the forest would be her guide. The forest welcomed her with open arms. Sunlight dappled through the leaves, painting shifting patterns on the forest floor. Ilara, following the map's whispers, delved deeper into the woods. But there was something else too, a presence unseen but felt. Ilara whirled around, her knife drawn, but instead of a fearsome beast, she found herself face to face with a fox, and when it spoke, Ilara knew she had found something extraordinary. "The map?" Ilara asked, her voice a mixture of apprehension and wonder. Aldrich the talking fox nodded. "It is more than just a map, child, it is a guide, a key to a world on the brink of destruction." Ilara's grip tightened on the map. "Do not fear, Ilara," Aldrich said. "You are not alone in this. You are the only one who can save both our worlds from the encroaching darkness." With Aldrich at her side, she stepped into the light, and the world as she knew it dissolved behind her. A kaleidoscope of colours, a rush of wind. Ilara stumbled, her senses overwhelmed. Gone were the familiar sights and smells of the forest. In their place, a world unlike anything she could have imagined. They stood on a hilltop, bathed in the warm glow of a double sun. Below, a valley stretched as far as the eye could see. But this was no ordinary valley. Towering trees, their leaves shimmering with an iridescent glow, reached for the sky. Waterfalls cascaded down crystal mountains, their waters sparkling with an ethereal light. And in the distance, nestled amongst the trees, Ilara could just make out the spires of a city. It shimmered and pulsed with an energy that sent shivers down her spine. This was a world of magic, a world where the impossible seemed not only possible but commonplace. Aldrich, his fox form seeming to shimmer with an inner light, padded over to Ilara. "Welcome," he said, his voice tinged with awe, "to the realm of Etheria. A land where magic flows freely and the very air whispers with ancient secrets." Ilara, her eyes wide with wonder, could only nod. The world before her was more breathtaking, more fantastical than anything she could have ever dreamt. The air hummed with a vibrant energy, a symphony of life that resonated deep within her soul. "The map," Aldrich said, drawing Ilara's attention back to the present. "It shows the way to the first artifact. It lies hidden within the Whisperwood, a place of ancient magic and forgotten lore." He pointed towards a dark, imposing forest in the distance. Unlike the vibrant, welcoming flora of the rest of the valley, the Whisperwood seemed to absorb the light, its edges blurring into shadows. A shiver ran down Ilara's spine. Even from this distance, she could sense the power emanating from the forest. The journey to the Whisperwood was fraught with its own dangers. Creatures of myth and legend crossed their path, some curious, others hostile. There were lumbering groffs, their fur the colour of moss, who blocked their path, their guttural growls echoing through the trees. Ilara, remembering Aldrich's teachings, used her wits and a handful of berries to distract the creatures, allowing them to pass unharmed. Then there were the mischievous pixies, tiny creatures with wings of gossamer and eyes that sparkled with mischief. They danced around Ilara, their laughter echoing like tinkling bells, attempting to lead her astray with promises of treasure and delight. But Aldrich, his senses sharp, warned Ilara of their tricks, allowing them to navigate through the illusions and stay on course. Throughout their journey, Aldrich proved to be an invaluable guide. He spoke the language of the forest, understanding the whispers of the wind and the rustling of leaves. He taught Ilara to see the magic woven into the very fabric of Etheria, to feel the pulse of the earth beneath her feet. He shared tales of Etheria's past, of a time when humans and magical beings lived in harmony, before the darkness threatened to consume their world. As they neared the Whisperwood, the air grew heavy with anticipation. The vibrant colours of Etheria seemed to fade, replaced by muted hues of green and brown. The air, once alive with the sounds of birdsong and rustling leaves, grew silent, save for the soft thudding of their own hearts. Even Aldrich seemed subdued, his usual playful demeanour replaced by a watchful silence. The Whisperwood awaited, and with it the first test of Ilara's courage. The Whisperwood lived up to its name. Trees, ancient and gnarled, their branches twisted into grotesque shapes, formed a dense canopy overhead, blocking out the light of the double suns. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. The ground beneath their feet was soft and spongy, carpeted with a thick layer of moss. Every step seemed to echo in the stillness, amplifying the sense of isolation. Suddenly the trees parted, revealing a clearing bathed in an ethereal light. Beneath the oak, a figure sat cross-legged, shrouded in a cloak of woven shadows. "I've been expecting you. I am the Oracle of the Whisperwood," she said, "and you, child, have a destiny to fulfill." The adventure had truly begun. The oracle's words hung in the air, heavy with portent. Ilara, her breath caught in her throat, could only stare at the ancient being before her. The oracle gestured towards a pool of water that shimmered at the base of the oak. The first artifact lies hidden within the pool of reflections. It demands a trial of courage, a facing of one's deepest fears. Ilara's hand instinctively went to the hilt of her knife. She would face this trial, no matter the cost. Ilara gasped, her eyes snapping open. Gone was the ethereal clearing, the ancient oak, the watchful gaze of the oracle. She found herself in a dark, cavernous space, the air thick with smoke and the scent of sulphur. The ground beneath her feet was rough and uneven, littered with sharp rocks. Above, a single shaft of light pierced through a crack in the ceiling. She was in a cave, a large, echoing cavern that seemed to stretch on forever. The walls were rough and jagged. The air hung heavy and oppressive. Ilara, her heart hammering, struggled to her feet, scanning the darkness. "Aldrich!" she called out, her voice echoing. There was no answer, only the drip, drip, drip of water. Panic welled up inside her. She was alone, trapped in this dark place. She noticed something shimmering in the center of the cave. Cautiously, she made her way towards it. It was a crystal, a large, multifaceted stone that pulsed with light. Its light refracted off the rough walls, creating a dazzling display. The crystal hummed with a low, resonant frequency, a vibration that seemed to seep into Ilara's very bones. As she drew closer, she felt a pull, a magnetic force that seemed to emanate from the heart of the stone. It called to her, whispered promises of power and knowledge. But there was a darkness there too, a sense of ancient malice. She knew this crystal was the key to defeating the encroaching darkness, but she also sensed that it was not to be taken lightly. This was no mere trinket, no simple source of power. This crystal held within it a power as old as time itself. And as she stood there gazing into the depths of the crystal, she saw a flicker of movement. It was gone in an instant, but its presence lingered. She was not alone in this cavern. Something else was here, something ancient and malevolent, and it was watching her. Doubt gnawed at the edges of her courage. What if this was a trap? What if the oracle had led her here? Not to help her save Etheria, but to deliver her into the hands of her enemies. The thought sent a chill down her spine, and she took a step back from the crystal, her hand tightening on her knife. She needed to escape this place, to find Aldrich and figure out what was going on. But as she turned to leave, she heard a voice, a low, seductive whisper that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the cavern itself. "Leaving so soon?" the voice hissed, its tone a mixture of amusement and menace. "But we have only just begun to play." Ilara spun around, her heart pounding in her chest, her eyes searching the darkness for the source of the voice. But there was nothing there, only the shadows, lengthening and twisting in the flickering light of the crystal. The cavern, once silent save for the drip of water, seemed to pulse with unseen energy. Ilara's hand tightened on the hilt of her knife, its familiarity a small comfort in the face of the unknown. The voice, a sibilant whisper that seemed to slither around the edges of her awareness, sent shivers down her spine. It wasn't Aldrich, this was something else, something ancient and cold. "Who's there?" Ilara's voice echoed, thin and reedy in the vastness of the cavern. The only response was a low chuckle, a sound devoid of warmth that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. Fear, cold and clammy, tightened its grip on her chest, making it hard to breathe. She had to get out, had to find Aldrich. He would know what to do. She backed away from the crystal, its mesmerizing glow suddenly sinister. Each step was hesitant, her senses on high alert. The air crackled with unseen energy, raising goosebumps on her skin. A low growl, guttural and menacing, echoed from the darkness behind her. Spinning around, she drew her knife, its blade reflecting the eerie light of the crystal. Two glowing eyes, malevolent embers in the darkness, materialized in the shadows. Panic surged, threatening to overwhelm her. She was trapped, alone, with something monstrous between her and escape. The growl rumbled again, closer this time, and a shape began to solidify from the shadows. Section 2. The Guardian's Challenge. A creature of nightmare. Its form, vaguely canine, was all muscle and sinew, covered in matted fur the colour of dried blood. Jagged fangs, dripping with a viscous fluid, gleamed in the crystal's light. Its eyes, burning coals of hatred, locked onto Ilara, promising a swift and brutal end. This was no ordinary beast. This was something born of darkness, a guardian of this cursed place. "So the little thief thinks to steal what is not hers," the creature rasped, its voice like gravel grinding on stone. Each word dripped with contempt, each syllable laced with venom. Ilara's hand trembled, her grip on the knife tightening. She had to fight, had to find a way past this monster. But fear, a paralyzing wave, threatened to cripple her. "I'm not a thief," Ilara managed, her voice thin but resolute. "I'm here to help, to stop the darkness." The creature threw back its head and let out a sound that was half growl, half laugh. "Foolish child," it sneered. "You think you can control forces beyond your comprehension? This darkness is not yours to wield." The creature lunged, its speed belying its size. Ilara barely had time to react, throwing herself to the side as the creature slammed into the ground where she'd been standing a moment before. The impact sent tremors through the cavern, showering her with dust and debris. She scrambled back, adrenaline lending her a burst of strength as the creature rose, shaking its head, its eyes burning with renewed fury. This was no time for fear. This was a fight for survival. Section 3. The Light Within. Ilara knew she couldn't defeat this creature with brute force. It was too powerful, too driven by an ancient rage. She had to find another way, had to use her wits, her courage, the spark of something else she felt growing within her. Her gaze fell on the crystal, its pulsing light illuminating the cavern. An idea, desperate but potentially their only hope, sparked within her. Taking a deep breath, she raised her hand towards the crystal, focusing her will, her very being, on its energy. She didn't know if this was madness, but she could feel the crystal responding, its hum intensifying, the light growing brighter. The creature, sensing the shift in power, turned its baleful gaze on her, a low growl rumbling in its chest. "What trickery is this?" it snarled, taking a menacing step towards her. But Ilara held her ground, her gaze unwavering. She could feel the energy of the crystal flowing into her, filling her with a power unlike anything she had ever known. It wasn't a power of brute force, but of something else. Something ancient and pure. The light from the crystal intensified, bathing the cavern in a blinding radiance. Ilara closed her eyes against the glare, feeling the power coursing through her veins, burning away the fear, replacing it with a sense of purpose, of destiny. She was a conduit, a vessel for a power far greater than herself. The creature roared, a sound of pure rage and defiance as the light washed over it. It thrashed and writhed, trying to escape the blinding brilliance. But it was no use. The light was everywhere, seeping into every crack and crevice of the cavern, forcing the shadows to recede, revealing the creature for what it truly was. It wasn't a monster, not really. Beneath the rage, beneath the layers of darkness and pain, Ilara saw a creature of immense power and grace. Its form, once twisted and grotesque, was now sleek and powerful, its fur shimmering with an inner light. Its eyes, no longer burning embers of hatred, held a flicker of something else, a glimmer of recognition, of ancient sorrow. "You!" "You are not like the others," the creature rasped, its voice no longer a guttural growl, but a low, rumbling purr. "You do not seek to control the darkness, but to understand it, to heal it." The creature took a hesitant step towards Ilara, its gaze searching hers. "Who are you, child?" it asked, its voice barely a whisper. Ilara, still shaken by the power that coursed through her, lowered her hand, the light from the crystal dimming to a soft glow. "I am Ilara," she said, her voice strong and clear, "and I am here to save Etheria, to restore the balance that has been broken." She met the creature's gaze, her own steady and unwavering. "Will you help me?" she asked, offering not a command, but a plea. The fate of Etheria, the fate of both their worlds, hung in the balance. The Guardian had a choice to make, one that would determine the course of their destinies. The cavern, once a battleground of light and shadow, settled into an uneasy peace. The Guardian, now calm, acknowledged Ilara. "Darkness festers without light. You carry that light within you." The path to the crystal lay open. Ilara touched the crystal. Energy surged. She saw Etheria in its prime. Darkness spread, corrupting all. Flickers of hope remained. She was the Lightbringer. Ilara claimed the crystal. The cavern pulsed with light. The Guardian showed gratitude. "Go now, Lightbringer. Etheria awaits." The journey back to Eldoria was a blur. One moment, Ilara stood within the heart of the mountain, the Guardian's farewell echoing in her ears. The next, she stumbled out from beneath the familiar boughs of the Whispering Woods. Aldrich by her side, his fur ruffled, but his eyes bright with relief. The familiar sights and smells of her world washed over her, grounding her after her journey into the fantastical. Yet she was different, changed. The weight of the crystal, nestled safely within her knapsack, was a constant reminder of the responsibility she now carried. As she walked towards Eldoria, the setting sun painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, she knew she could never truly leave Etheria behind. The fate of that magical realm, of its wondrous creatures and ancient magic, was now intertwined with her own. Word of the strange lights in the sky had spread, attracting curious onlookers from neighbouring villages. When Ilara arrived at the edge of Eldoria, she found a crowd gathered, their faces a mixture of awe and apprehension. Whispers of magic and portents rippled through the throng as she approached. But as their eyes fell upon her, a hush fell over the crowd. She was no longer just Ilara, the curious girl who had wandered into the woods. She was something more, someone who had faced the unknown and emerged victorious. The villagers, sensing the change in her, parted before her, their eyes wide with respect. She had journeyed to a realm beyond their understanding, faced creatures of myth and legend, and returned with the power to protect them all. Life in Eldoria resumed its peaceful rhythm, but for Ilara the world shimmered with a newfound vibrancy. The whispers of the wind through the trees, the rustling of leaves beneath her feet, the songs of birds at dawn all seemed to hold a deeper meaning. She carried the weight of her secret, the knowledge of a world beyond imagining. The crystal, a constant presence, pulsed with a gentle warmth. She spent hours studying the ancient map, its symbols no longer cryptic. The portal, she knew, remained open, waiting for her return. For Ilara's journey was far from over.